Well guys, as you know, we've got the 730 running in the last video. We've got a pallet full of parts right here to get installed on this thing, but first we've got to remove the factory turbo, factory exhaust manifolds, EGR valve, and cooler, and a few other parts. So let's get to it. So right here in the shop here, they build their own manifolds and all kinds of stuff to do a non-VGT turbo conversion. That's what we're doing in today's video, is doing getting rid of the VGT setup turbocharger on an R730 Scania with installing some newer manifolds, getting rid of all these old clunky cast iron manifolds on here, and doing away with the EGR cooler. So we're doing a full non-VGT conversion on this engine. We're going to be getting it running right here on the engine stand so you guys can see what it sounds like. The last video we showed it running, you heard what it sounded like before, and now we're going to have a little bit of an after video. So first off, we got to get these exhaust manifolds all removed, and then I figure we'll move up to getting the turbo off this thing next. So let's get to it. We're going to roll a little time lapse getting the manifolds off here. Okay, so pretty much what you just saw us accomplish was we removed all the exhaust manifolds. We removed the pipe coming out of the EGR cooler that goes to the turbo where the EGR valve was. So you're going to want to remove all the EGR pipes, remove all of the exhaust pipes on both sides. As you see, this side's completely removed. EGR valve is off. The exhaust, what do we want to call this? The exhaust brake, the exhaust brake's completely removed. So everything right here is all the factory exhaust parts, valves, and things like that we're not going to be using anymore. This kit does enable you to use the exhaust brake still though, right? Yeah. But we're not going to for my particular application. So that's the adapter for the exhaust brake. So we're not going to be using that on this engine since we're putting it in my 4 Series. Next, we're going to get the EGR cooler removed off the engine and then move up here to the turbo. There was a cover here that we pulled off the bottom of the air compressor, so you're not going to use that anymore with this kit. So for now, we're going to go ahead and get the EGR cooler off and then move to removing the turbo. Right? That's the next step. So moving right along. Pretty easy to do with the engine out of the truck. Yeah. No doubt. So we've had all this stuff yanked off in about not even 5 minutes. So let's get the EGR cooler off next, and then the turbo. Well, just like that, we've got our EGR completely removed if I don't slip and fall. There's some water ports here coming out of the block we're gonna have to plug off, I'm sure, eventually. So now let's get to pulling the turbo off. There's like a turbo pedestal here that will come off once the turbo is out of the way, but got lots of cooling lines and some oil lines and a couple wiring pieces that we've got to remove. Maybe this intake pipe has to come off, I'm not sure, but they've kind of just said, Bruce, figure it out if you want to do it. So that's what I'm doing. All right, folks, we got the turbo off here. We had to modify the turbo drain pipe, which they already have pre-made in their kit. It does need some cleaning, but just for video purposes, we're gonna get this thing completely put together, start up so you guys can see and hear the non-VGT swapped R730. But for now, like I said, we're gonna get it all put together. I'm not gonna be here for when they do tear it apart, but they're gonna tear the turbo back off of it and service the oil cooler and a few other things, fix a few leaks, and there's a couple of little things they want to do before they shipped it to the US. But for now, we've got looks like the engine vent pipe that comes up from the bottom up to the top of the engine. We had to modify and cut in a few spots, and you'll see once we get it installed on the engine, I'll show you where we cut it and how we did it. Well, folks, one big whole set turbo off. This thing is massive compared to like anything that we have in America, like on the X15s and stuff like that. Can't really see what model it is. HE 500 VG. I think we have like the 350.
Yeah.
Something like that on the Cummins. So, big variable geometry turbo off. We've got the old school. This is on the, what engine would this have been on?
It's from the industrial engine.
Okay, so yeah, so they got a Scania. I'm at a loss for words today on all these things. What's the word for this?
We call it turbo leg.
Turbo base, something like that. Yeah, I don't know why I can't even talk. So they call it a turbo leg. I think we call it a turbo base or mounting plate in America. But either way, that's in place. Right here is the turbo drain feed that will sit just like that right there. I guess next we need to put the
turbo on it.
Turbo manifolds. Feed line comes out of here. The gosh, crankcase vent line. I'm just off today. It's so, yeah. Anyways, it's been rerouted up over the top of the injection pump here. It originally came down around this side around, but we rerouted it up to here. I'm not sure why, but we're going to figure out shortly, I'm sure. All right, here it is, the big box of fun. I need that. Definitely need gasket kit. Go ahead and put this over here where I can get to it. I like how it's in a Cummins box. It's not a Cummins box, but like the whole set. Well, I think Cummins owns whole set, don't they? I think, or vice versa. It's funny. There it is. Big old windy boy. All right, folks. A few things here. We had to put the turbo drain, pre-mount that to the turbo because it's just going to be impossible to bolt up once it's in the engine here. So we've got the center section loose from the exhaust housing. So don't loosen it up too much because you may damage your turbine wheel. So now we're going to carefully, you want to help?
Yeah.
Set it in there.
But we're gonna do it just yet.
Ah, what are we missing?
You have to hit it.
Oh, we got to drill these holes out. Correct. So got to drill holes out right here that are threaded on the housing. So we'll do that right quick, and then we'll set it up here.
I have to put the nose in first.
Hang on.
Yeah. But it's just
Yeah.
a few bolts.
There we go. All right, I'll show you the turbo drain in just a second, but there it is, mounted in its home. We'll get the exhaust housing tight, and then we'll have to adjust the center section and then adjust the front half of the turbo. These things come in the box, just bolted together, checked, and then you have to adjust a few things, so nothing too crazy. All right, we're gonna get this thing bolted down, get our oil feed ran to it, and then hook our exhaust manifolds up. And then we're gonna fire it up.
Yeah.
Well, turbo is bolted on. We got our oil feed done. Our intake pipe is all hooked up. Our charge pipe is hooked up. There are a lot of things that aren't completely hooked up, but like I said, we're installing this turbo for demonstration purposes. It's not like the final all said and done thing. We'll see the final all said and done creation back in Florida in a month or so, hopefully. So we're getting the exhaust ports cleaned and prepped, and we'll get these manifolds bolted up. All these manifolds are completely custom fabbed right here in the shop. So lots of pieces to install, but we're gonna make it happen. Have at it. And in the kit, this is just, like I said, a box that they've kind of thrown together full of parts for me from their pick list, but we've got all new exhaust manifold gaskets here, and these O-rings that go on the inside of the manifolds also, which I'm sure I'll figure it out here in a minute, but pretty simple kit if you have a SCANIA in Europe or one here in the US or wherever. They have the kit for you to put everything on your Euro 6 R730 engine. I believe this fits a few other engines too. So we've got the manifolds complete. Well, I say I got the manifolds bolted up. This guy's been in the office playing on the computer all afternoon or something, but manifolds are all bolted up. Y'all build these in-house, right? I mean, they're make them right here, correct?
Yeah, the end parts. These are made outside.
Okay.
We made
All
some
pretty
modifications.
solid parts. So these manifolds are the log style that are pretty similar to what's on my engine, the 144. And I think this is on some of the older engines, correct? Like this one's big style.
Yep.
So it goes away from the big dual manifolds. It takes up a lot less space at the same time. So these parts are custom made right here to connect to that center section right there. The turbo pedestal, that was the word. Pedestal. Turbo pedestal is what I was trying to think of earlier. So we've got these mounts right here that hold these pieces in. There are some little gaskets that we installed in there. I installed in there already. But both manifolds are on both sides. We're going to get these manifold clamps, I guess you could call them, right here installed. And then that's it. This thing's ready to fire. We hope.
It is ready.
You sure you didn't forget anything?
No. Did you?
No. No, I don't think. Oh boy. This thing's going to sound so much better without the VGT on it. So with everything completely done, we're plugged in, got the laptop running, got our jump box over there powered up to power the engine up. And this thing should still be bled out. So in all reality, unless you do something wrong, it should start. Fingers crossed. Sounds so good. Sounds like a real engine now. Just like that, guys, we have VGT deleted this engine. I think it just sounds so much so healthy.
Yeah.
Compared to like my 144. So healthy, it's crazy. Well guys, all in all, it has been a successful day getting this engine running, standalone, getting the turbo put on there I'm getting confused with my videos. So a successful day getting the turbo swapped on this thing. I'm not sure what we're gonna get into tomorrow. We're gonna clean up and maybe do a few more things here in the shop to add to this video, but what an awesome day it has been in the past few days, and this whole trip has been nothing but fun. We're about to head home now with Ville. Hopefully I said that right. I feel so bad because I can't pronounce his name. It's so difficult. But he's gonna drive the loader home and plow all the snow, and then I'm gonna follow him in the Tesla. So let's go. Oh, dirty. So we're back up here this morning, guys. There fellas in here got a trailer they fixed up. They did some welding on it, added some hoses and all kinds of stuff here. But this is the dump truck we were whipping donuts in the other day. They use it for moving trailers in and out and stuff like that whenever it's not being used for work. But There you go. There's a whole number of plugs that plug into this thing to operate these trailers. But they're about to pull it out of here. Such a crazy looking trailer, huh? So many different styles of stuff here in Europe. There's a trailer plugs, light plugs, and all kinds of different things. All these things do different stuff. Kind of loud in the shop today, so we apologize about that, but watch this dolly turn. It's so weird. So the fellas are having to make a few changes on the trailer over there before it pulls out, but once it pulls out, I'll make sure to get that on camera for you guys. But back to our engine here with our turbo swap. I've got the engine hoisted up here with the beautiful overhead crane. I'm going to be pulling the clutch off, and we're going to be replacing the clutch. We're replacing the clutch and disc in here with a really heavy duty one, since we've obviously upped the horsepower. So let's get to pulling this clutch apart and seeing the factory condition of it. We'll get the new one installed. So something very interesting I want to point out. We got the clutch, pressure plate, disc, and flywheel off, but the flywheel is also part of the rear main seal, which kind of crazy because I've never seen anything like that. So the flywheel is what seals the crankshaft on the seal here. So obviously the seal is seeping just ever so slightly. The clutch, disc, and flywheel look to be in great shape. So we're probably just gonna scuff the flywheel just barely and get it cleaned up a little bit. Gotta go find a rear main seal. We'll get a new seal installed, get the flywheel put back in with a new heavy duty Super 1000 clutch disc, and get the pressure plate put back on. There he goes. They added some length to the hoses right there on the front. This thing's gonna pull out the door. Watch that front set of tandems pivot. It's so crazy how this thing's like a train. It follows the circle perfectly. Super cool. All right, folks. We've got a new seal here. This is very similar to like a Cummins, where it's just like this single like hard plastic lip maybe. So we're gonna install it. I think I can maybe press it in by hand. If not, we'll get a hammer and tap it in the rest of the way, but get it started so we're not damaging anything. And clean this up a little bit, and then we'll get the flywheel put back on here. We also have new flywheel bolts, because these are a one-time use only. So all the new flywheel bolts are torqued down. We've got our new pilot bearing installed, rear main seal. The flywheel is in great shape. I think someone did a clutch job and this thing kind of just sat. So we hit it with some Scotch-Brite, and there is 0 grooves. You can still feel the factory machine marks in the flywheel, so should be no issues other than just visually is not pleasing, but it will work just fine. Along with the pressure plate, still has the factory grooves in it. You can actually see them there, and they're still in great shape. So I'm gonna clean this pressure plate up, slap it back in there too. Well guys, we've had a conundrum. So being that this engine is a newer engine with a newer gearbox behind it, the pressure plate is not going to work, and they don't have one here to install, but I do want to show you something. So this is the factory organic pressure plate, right? I'm sorry, clutch disc. We're going to be installing this super extra heavy duty ceramic clutch disc. And what's actually funny is I'm going to be taking this exact one home with me to put in our red Scania that has the burn up clutch disc that has organic style like this from the factory. So this one is what's in our Scania back home that is burnt and shot. This is going in another carry-on suitcase. It's also full of all kinds of other cool stuff I got from our Scania visit at the factory. So another 25-pound clutch disc going in a checked bag. So it's gonna be a heavy checked bag, that's for dang sure. So that's gonna wrap up this video of deleting the VGT turbo swap on a 730 here on our engine. Flywheel, they're gonna do a few more things. Like I said, they're gonna pull the turbo back off, reseal the entire valley of the engine. They said there's a couple other small upgrades that they wanna make here before we ship it to America. We're gonna air freight it because it's like 1,800 euros to air freight this thing to Florida. So it's like, why wait a month and a half to 2 months to put it in a shipping container when we can just air freight it? And it's gonna be a little bit, it's gonna be close to what it costs putting in a shipping container, but we don't have to wait. So I mean, I'd rather spend the money, have it to Florida in the next couple weeks. Well, it's probably gonna be a month by the time we get it because they're gonna do a few things to it before they ship it. So anyways, when this thing shows up, it may be painted blue, it may not, I don't know yet, haven't decided, because we're gonna be painting the white Scania blue, painting the frame blue. So I figure we might as well have the engine blue, the color we're gonna be painting the truck before it goes in. So it may show up painted blue. We may paint it when it gets to the shop. But for now, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure y'all smash the like button. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. Comment down below if you're as interested as I am in making your 730 sound like a classic 144 engine or the earlier engines that didn't have the VGT. And you can check out Uliva Mala. There we go. I think I said it right. On Instagram. I'll put it right here on the screen and description right here down below. Hit them up on Instagram. If you don't have Instagram, I'll put an email up. If you're interested in this kit, they will ship it worldwide along with the tuning needed to make it run like it's supposed to. So we'll see you guys later. Peace.